Please, Stephen, I'll let you take the.
Okay, is my slides are viewable? Good morning. I'm Stephen Burns of the Common Crawl Foundation. For those unfamiliar with us, we're a nonprofit that maintains the largest open data set of web content, about 10 petabytes of data right now. What's relevant to you is our data powers the training of virtually every major AI system you've heard of. OpenAI's GPT models, Meta's Llama, Amazon's AI services, Google's models. Our crawler, CCBot, pulls about 3 billion pages per month from what the estimate is a trillion page web. We get downloaded over 1,000 times a year by AI researchers and companies. So when I talk about AI training data today, I'm speaking from the perspective of maintaining the actual data set that goes into these systems. Let me start with the fundamental shift we need to understand. For the last 2 decades, you've optimized your hotel properties for search behavior that looked like this. Someone types hotels Bangkok, maybe 3 words, and clicks through 10 blue links comparing options. But look at what's happening now with AI assistants. Travelers are having full conversations. I'm planning a trip to Bangkok in December, needing something boutique near the Grand Palace with a pool, family friendly, under $200 a night. What are my options? That's 20 words, often spoken out loud to their phone or smart speaker. The AI doesn't give them 10 links. It gives them one synthesized answer with specific recommendations. That's the disruption we're dealing with. The entire discovery model has changed from ranking in search results to be included in AI-generated recommendations. I want to give you some context on the scale we're dealing with. Since GPT-3 launched in June 2020, we've seen over 10,000 research papers cite Common Crawl data. To put that in perspective, the Hubble Space Telescope generates about 1,000 papers per year. We're seeing 10 times that annually now. Here's what matters for hotels. If your property's data isn't training corpora like ours, the AI models lack what we call entity awareness, the foundational knowledge that your hotel even exists. And this affects everything downstream. Think about it this way. When someone asks an AI about hotels in your market, if you weren't in the training data, the model won't know to expand its query to include your property. Your chances of being recommended drop dramatically, not because of ranking, but because of fundamental recognition. And here's the hard reality. Your infrastructure choices, like your CDN configuration and robots.txt settings, now directly affect whether you make it into the AI model knowledge. Technical decisions that IT teams make are now affecting your discoverability in AI systems. Let me contrast the old infrastructure with what we're seeing now. Search 1.0 was relatively straightforward. Google maintained a massive index, about 50 petabytes, used PageRank and keyword matching, and you paid for ads optimized for SEO. That's a $300 billion ad industry and an $80 billion SEO industry. Search 2.0 is fundamentally different. Training is distributed across multiple providers instead of one algorithm. You're dealing with foundational model training, then fine-tuning them, then real-time retrieval. The revenue models aren't clear yet, with paid inclusion, ads, affiliate fees, API licensing, nobody knows. But look at the query processing evolution. The old system took hotels Bangkok and did keyword matching to rank URLs. The new system takes a 20-word conversational query, creates semantic embeddings, extracts entities, does multi-step retrieval, and synthesizes a response. This isn't just different optimization tactics. These are different systems with different failure modes. If you fail in the old system, you drop in rankings. If you fail in the new system, you might not exist at all in the response. Let me tell you a story that crystallizes the stakes here. Children's Hospital of Los Angeles is one of the top pediatric cancer hospitals in the United States. But when parents search in AI systems asking, where should I take my child with leukemia in LA, they're not seeing CHLA in responses. Why? The hospital's website sits behind Cloudflare, and Cloudflare's default settings inject a robots.txt that blocks AI crawlers, including CCBot. So, in this new world of AI powered search, this world class hospital effectively doesn't exist. Think about what that means. A family in crisis searching for where to treat their child's cancer isn't finding one of the best facilities in the country. Not because the hospital chose to opt out, but because their CDN made that choice for them with default settings. Now translate that to hospitality. A traveler asking an AI assistant where to stay in your market might not see your property, not because you're not competitive, but because someone in your IT department or your CDN provider made a configuration choice without understanding these implications. Technical infrastructure decisions have become revenue decisions. Let me break down how these AI systems actually learn about and retrieve hotel information, because this is where you can take action. Stage one is foundation training. This is where our Common Crawl dataset comes in. That 10 petabytes of web data. AI models train on this to learn baseline knowledge. So the model learns Marriott is a hotel chain, but this information might be 6 to 18 months old by the time the model launches. Your hotel gets basic recognition, but the details might be stale. Stage two is fine tuning. This is where the models get specialized for travel and hospitality. Companies create travel specific Q&A training data. Alice and Bob's travel chatbot gets extra training on hospitality questions and answers. The key insight here is that hotels with more structured Q&A content tend to get better representation in these fine-tuned models. Stage three is real-time retrieval, what we call RAG, retrieval augmented generation. During a conversation, the AI does live web searches to pull current information about rates, reviews, availability. This is where your up-to-date website content matters most. Here's the integration challenge. AI needs to successfully combine all three sources to give travelers complete current information. If you're missing from the foundation training, weak and fine-tuned data sets, and hard to retrieve in real time, you're essentially invisible to AI-powered travel planning. Let me share some patterns we're observing in the data that should inform your strategy. On foundation training quality, we've seen that hotels with better SEO tend to have richer AI representation, which makes sense. But there's a stale information problem. That training data lags 6 to 18 months behind reality. We're also seeing that competitor information gets equal weight to your own content in the training data. Here's an interesting bias we've measured. 43% of training data is English. Smaller languages are massively underrepresented. If you're running an international hotel with only Thai or Portuguese or Arabic content, you're likely missing from a lot of AI systems entirely. On fine-tuning data sets, these travel-specific Q&A pairs are expensive and limited. But here's what we're observing. Hotels that create structured Q&A style content are getting more accurate AI responses than those relying on traditional marketing copy. And here's what's consistently missing from AI knowledge: real-time rates and availability, because training data is static, current promotions and seasonal offerings, recent renovations and new amenities. There's a persistent gap between what AI knows and about in hotels and what travelers actually need to make booking decisions. We're experiencing something significant at Common Crawl right now that I need to make you aware of. After the New York Times sued OpenAI and opted out of AI crawlers, we saw a wave of publishers following suit, some politely, others with legal threats, demanding to be removed from our dataset. We created an opt-out registry. When a site asks to be excluded or threatens us legally, we just don't remove them from Common Crawl. We flag them for the entire ecosystem: OpenAI, Meta, Amazon, researchers. Everyone sees that exclusion. And here's the thing, this isn't temporary. It's essentially permanent. We're not putting anyone back in. Now, here's the irony we're watching play out. AI models don't actually need those specific sites to answer questions about them. The knowledge surfaces indirectly through reviews, forums, user-generated content, citations on other sites. When a brand opts out, the conversation about them doesn't disappear. What disappears is their authoritative voice. This is the fundamental risk profile shift I need you to understand. In the old SEO world, the risk was dropping a few positions in search results. Maybe you went from position 3 to position 7. Painful, but you still existed in results. In the AI era, the risk is binary, being erased entirely from discovery. You're not competing for rank anymore. You're competing for existence in AI responses. And here's what keeps me up at night. Many hotels have no idea that technical decisions have already made them invisible. Their CDN provider flipped a default setting. Their robots.txt file includes a blanket disallow. They've gone from AI systems, and they don't know it because they're still getting Google traffic. But when travelers start using AI assistants for trip planning instead of Google, and that shift is already happening, those hotels won't understand why their direct bookings are declining. Let me hit on something that's particularly important for international properties. The training data we provide has a massive English bias, 43% is English content. Smaller languages like Estonian, Catalan, Thai, they're severely underrepresented in AI training. For hotels operating in non-English markets, this creates an existential challenge. If you publish only in your local language, your content may be invisible to AI-driven answers because the model simply doesn't have enough material in that language to understand context and make recommendations. The practical strategy here, and I'm speaking from what we're seeing work in the data, is to publish in English as well as your local language. English acts as what I call the gateway language into the AI model. It doesn't mean you abandon your local audience. You serve them with local language content, but you create English content specifically to ensure you're legible in the AI systems that are increasingly the first point of discovery. Think of it this way. A traveler in Chicago asking ChatGPT about Bangkok hotels is probably asking in English. If your Bangkok property only has Thai language content in the training data, you might not surface in that conversation. I want to talk briefly about something that affects how thoroughly you can be crawled and represented in AI systems: the brutal economics and infrastructure constraints of AI training. Training GPT-4 costs somewhere between 78 to 100 million just in compute, with total costs pushing into the hundreds of millions when you include hardware. The energy footprint is enormous. We're talking megawatt scale GPU clusters. Some estimates suggest a single training run burns more electricity than a large hydroelectric dam generates in a minute. These constraints shape how models are designed, and importantly for you, they shape crawling priorities. Not every site gets crawled equally. When compute is constrained, crawlers prioritize and they consider higher value content. Why am I telling you this? Because AI infrastructure is no longer an invisible back thing. It's effectively becoming a ranking factor. If your content is seen as lower value, maybe because of thin content, maybe because of poor site structure, you might get crawled less frequently or less thoroughly. Tech giants are literally reviving nuclear power plants to power AI. Microsoft is restarting 3 Mile Island. Google is investing in small modular reactors. That's the scale of infrastructure we've been talking about. In this environment, you need to make sure your property is valuable enough to warrant thorough crawling. Let me give you a framework for thinking about the new discovery funnel based on what we're actually observing in the data. At the foundational training level, is your hotel in Common Crawl's data set? Remember that 43% English bias. International hotels need English content. And remember that 6 to 18 month data lag. AI knows your old information, not necessarily your current reality. At the fine tuning level, do travel specific AI models know about your property? We're seeing that hotels with structured Q&A content get better representation. Generic models are less accurate than specialized travel AI that's been fine-tuned on hospitality data. At the real-time retrieval level, can AI find current information about you through live web searches? This supplements the training knowledge with fresh content, and we're seeing that updated content gets prioritized with AI responses. Then there's conversion. Can travelers actually book? This is the current gap in most AI systems. They provide recommendations, but booking still requires multiple steps, clicking out to websites, filling forms. The key insight from our data, hotels that succeed are optimizing for all these layers, not just traditional SEO. You can't just fix one layer and expect to win AI-powered discovery. Based on patterns we're seeing in the data, let me give you 3 clear priorities. Priority 1, foundation visibility. The basic requirement you need to ensure AI crawlers can actually access your site. Check your robots.txt file, check your CDN settings, monitor your logs for AI bot traffic. You should be seeing CCBot, that's us, GPT bot from OpenAI, Claude bot from Anthropic. The data insight here is stark. Hotels that block these crawlers become invisible to AI training. It's not theoretical. Priority 2, content strategy. The quality factor. You need to create English content even if you primarily serve local markets, because that 43% training data bias we talked about, develop FAQ style content that AI can easily parse and understand. Our observation, hotels with structured Q&A content are getting more accurate AI responses than those with only traditional marketing copy. Priority 3, fresh information, the currency problem. Keep your website content current because training data lags 6 to 18 months. Regular content updates help with real-time AI retrieval systems. The key finding from our data, stale training data means AI needs to supplement with fresh web content, so being discoverable in real-time searches become even more critical. And here's a simple test you can do today. Ask ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity what they say about your property. See if the information is accurate, current, and competitive with what they say about your competitors. I need to spend a minute on something that might seem peripheral, but it isn't. The political and regulatory landscape around AI and web crawling. We're seeing defaults change rapidly. Players aren't following the established rules and norms. You've got major publishers suing AI companies. You've got regulatory discussions in the EU and the US about AI training and copyright. You've got platforms like Reddit cutting off access to archives to protect their AI licensing deals. This stuff matters to you because these fights will determine what AI systems can access and and under what terms. If major travel platforms decide to wall off their content from AI training to preserve licensing revenue, your reviews and mentions on those platforms might disappear from AI knowledge. My advice, assign someone on your team to track this. It doesn't need to be a full-time job, but you need someone monitoring what's happening with AI data, access, and web crawling policies. These decisions will affect your visibility. Let me crystallize the strategic reality you're facing. SEO hasn't died, it's evolved. The old world was about getting indexed and ranking well. The new world is about being in training data and being retrievable by AI systems. For hotels, this means traditional SEO still matters for now. Google isn't going away tomorrow, but AIO, AI optimization, is becoming critical fast. Training data is becoming the new link authority. Being in data sets like Common Crawl is like having high quality backlinks in the SEO world. And crawl accessibility is the new technical SEO. If crawlers can't reach you, nothing else matters. The window for establishing AI presence is closing. We're seeing early adopters get embedded in training data and fine-tuning data sets. The hotels that move now will have first mover advantage. Those who wait might find themselves trying to catch up to competitors who are already deeply embedded in AI knowledge graphs. Let me share some patterns we're seeing across the data that really drive these points home. We're observing this discovery paradox. Some truly world-class properties are invisible to AI systems because of technical settings, CDN configurations they don't even know about. There's a language gap. International hotels with only local language content are missing from AI recommendations to English-speaking travelers. And there's a freshness problem. AI knows about hotels that closed years ago, but misses new openings because the training data hasn't caught up. Let me give you the Children's Hospital example in more detail because it is perfectly illustrates what's happening. Children's Hospital of Los Angeles is one of America's top pediatrics cancer hospitals. Parents are desperately searching, where should I take my child with leukemia in LA? Aren't seeing CHLA in AI responses. The root cause, their website is behind a CDN that blocks AI crawlers by default. Someone in their IT department or Cloudflare made a configuration choice, probably trying to reduce bot traffic or protect from scraping, without understanding that they were making their hospital invisible to the very people who need to find them most urgently. The hotel implication should be obvious. Technical decisions that seemed purely operational are now affecting revenue. CDN configurations have become distribution channel factor. And many properties don't realize they've accidentally opted out of being discoverable by AI systems. The pattern we're seeing, while some organizations accidentally opt out through technical decisions, forward-thinking properties are actively optimizing for AI visibility and gaining competitive advantage. Based on our experience working with AI companies that use Common Crawl data, let me tell you what they actually want from hotels. First, provenance. They want clear data, licensing, and ownership. When they train on hotel data, they want to know where it came from, and that it's legitimate to use. Second, completeness. They want comprehensive property information, not just marketing highlights. The more complete your data footprint, the better AI can represent you. Third, accuracy. Quality tested, up-to-date content. They want to trust your data more than random web scraping because that improves their model quality. And fourth, they want structured data that's easy to ingest and process. Unstructured marketing copy is harder for AI to learn from than well-structured FAQ content or data markup. Now, there are two paths to getting into AI systems. One is direct partnerships, working with specific AI travel companies that want hotel data. Alice and Bob's travel chatbot needs data. You provide structured data sets, maybe work out licensing deals. The other path is what I call the clearinghouse approach, making your data available in industry data sets that feed into the big models. This is how you get into OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft. It's broader reaches, but less control. Most hotels will eventually need both approaches. Let me close with some simple concrete action items you can take based on what we've covered. This week, do a basic health check. Test what ChatGPT and Claude say about your hotel. Is it accurate? Is it current? Is it competitive with what they say about your rivals? Check your website. If your website allows AI crawlers, you can do this by looking at your server logs for CCBot, GPTBot, ClaudeBot, and review your robots.txt file in CDN settings. This is where most accidental blocking happens. This month, do a content audit. Make sure you have English content, even if you're primarily serve local markets. Create FAQ style content that directly answers the questions potential guests are asking. Update any stale information on your website. Remember, training data lags, so your website is crucial for real-time retrieval. This quarter, set up strategic monitoring. Regularly test AI visibility for your property. Monitor what AI systems say about your competitors. Track how AI describes your property versus how you want to be described, and work to close any gaps. The fundamental goal here, make sure AI systems can find you, understand you, and represent you accurately to potential guests, because increasingly that's where guest discovery is happening. Let me bring this all together with the bottom line that should guide your strategy. The fundamental shift we're experiencing is that training data is becoming the new link graph in terms of strategic importance. Just like backlinks were crucial for SEO ranking, being in training data sets like Common Crawl is crucial for AI discovery. If you're not in the crawl, you're not in the model. And if you're not in the model, you're increasingly not in the market. It's really that simple. For hotels, the travelers of tomorrow, and really the travelers of today, are already asking AI assistants where to stay. When they ask, where should I stay in Bangkok, or find me a boutique hotel near the Grand Palace, will they find you? The choice you're facing: be part of this discovery revolution by actively optimizing for it, or become invisible to it through inaction or accidental technical configurations. There's no middle ground here. Thank you. I'll take questions now. And if you want to follow up online, you could reach out to me and happy to talk more specific.